If your church safety team is anything like ours, we're always looking for more people. I don't think I've ever run across a safety team yet that is like, oh yeah, we've just got too many people. We don't know what to do with all the help.
Yeah, that's actually a prayer of mine, is that I could say that one day.
Yeah, well, I'll agree with you in prayer on that. There you go. So that leads to the question, what do we look for when we're trying to recruit a new member to the safety team? So I thought that would be fun for us to discuss kind of like 3 things that we look for, and share. Maybe that'll help some of you try to figure out who to get, because I know what ends up happening, right? We get the guy, hey, I've got a concealed weapons license and I'm ready to go, and it's like, that's cool, but we want a little more than that. Let's talk about that. What's one of the things that you tend to look for?
So the first thing I think I would look for, and it's kind of twofold, would be someone who's observant, but not just observant. They have to also be not easily distractible. And what I mean by that is you can be observant, but if you get caught up in conversations really easy and you kind of get target focused, you're not really doing your job. Or if you are following a certain sport team that plays on Sunday mornings and you have to be watching your phone for the scores, then are you really, paying attention to who's coming in and who's going Sunday mornings? So that'd probably be the first and foremost. And you can kind of see that in someone just by watching them. So I don't even need to talk to that person yet. I can kind of identify, be like, hey, this guy is paying attention. Maybe we should talk to him.
Yeah, no, I'm completely in agreement there. I know we've talked about that before. When we consult with churches, a lot of times we tell them, man, just look around and see who is watching people. Because if that guy is naturally observant, we can teach him the rest of the stuff.
Exactly.
A whole lot easier than trying to teach him to be observant. So if he's already got that going for him, man, that makes it, we're already 5 yards down the field.
Yeah. And it's not that you can't have conversations Sunday morning. I actually just told this story. I was doing some training with my safety team, and it was a service we were working together, and we were having a full-blown conversation, and my mom came up to me and was like, hey, you ready to go? I said, no, I'm talking to Alan. And she just looked at us like, how? Because we were both kind of at like a 45-degree angle away from one another, paying attention, but we were communicating the whole time. And I was like, you can still talk to people, but if you get tunnel vision on that one person, then let's work on that before we put you in the foyer.
In a church setting, sometimes there's going to be people that come up and they've got something going on in their life, and they really do need your full attention. And that's one of those things where that as part of a ministry, we want to be able to help people out with that. So that's great, but there's a time and a place for it. If the time has to be right now, then find somebody else that can take over for you. Mm-hmm. If it can wait, I'm all the time, I'm like, hey, I would love to talk to you about this a little bit more. Can we catch up like 20 minutes from now?
Yeah.
And, when I'm done here and wrap everything up. And a lot of times people see us and we look like we're not doing anything, so they assume we're not doing anything, which is great that we're not busy, actually in a situation. But, I kind of use the illustration of, the guy that's up there on stage playing a guitar. That's not the time to come up and talk to him. He's doing something right now. He'll talk to you afterwards. So we're kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, 100%. That's one that I would agree work on. For me, I would say somebody that can stay calm. So I'm huge on calm. If you've taken any of our training, you probably heard me say calm is contagious. We say it all the time. And that's a hard thing to teach people. There are some people that just aren't. I know we had a volunteer that we're familiar with. The guy was super dedicated. He was always willing to help, always willing to serve, but he could not stay calm. It was like everything to him was an emergency. I would see him coming across the auditorium, and just the look on his face, I'm like, oh my word, this guy's going to tell me somebody just lost a limb or something. And it was this, no, he found a door that was unlocked. That's all it was. And I'm like, okay, calm down. Here's my keys, man. You can go lock that up. It's all good.
Yeah.
But especially when we're dealing with critical situations, that ability to stay calm, it helps us and it influences people around us as well. So yeah, I would have to say stay calm is a big one.
Yeah, being calm is huge because not only is it good for the team, but other people see it. And actually, I just had this conversation. A newer guy serving on our team, I think it was his first weekend, kind of on his own in the kids' hall, and there was a medical emergency. And the little girl was just spewing up vomit. So the pastor's wife, who was a nurse, is running around like a chicken with her head cut off. He's kind of frantic because it's his first day on his own, not really knowing what to do. He called me over knowing that I have more medical background than he does. And just last weekend, he was telling me about this. He's like, the way you just calmly walked down the hallway, went into the room and knelt down to the girl and started talking to her, like brought everyone down to like from 10 to like a 7. They were still freaking out. I was still probably like at a constant 4. I was worried about her, but then quickly realized that she, probably ate something for breakfast that had a ton of sugar. She was outside running around in the heat, a little dehydrated. Breakfast came up. But yeah, like I said, other people noticed that.
Right.
And like you said, calm is contagious. My calm demeanor brought everyone down just enough to where, people weren't running around like chickens with their heads cut off again. I think another thing I look for is kind of I guess you could say the heart or the why the person wants to be on the safety team is important, because we tell safety teams all the time, we're not an enforcement agency. I was just giving this training not too long ago with our safety team. I was like, we're not supposed to look like border control. We're not in vests. We're not carrying rifles. We can if the day comes, but that's not right now. So if you're in it because you want to tell people that their skirt's too short, or that their kids are running in the hallways, or that kid had 4 too many donuts this morning, then maybe the safety team isn't what you want, and you should apply to be a mall cop.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of times, people that are in it because they like guns and gear and they like asserting their will on other people. It's like, hey, you know what? Parking can always use help as well. They've got gear, they've got reflector vest and flashlights, and it's real cool. And they tell people what to do the whole time.
Yeah.
So, if you want to tell people what to do in church, join the parking team. They'll definitely love to help. But I think another one for me is kind of related. It is the willingness to go beyond the minimum, beyond just attend. Or just come in and check in and serve. So I know an ongoing thing is training, trying to get guys to show up for training, right? And it's like, one of the things that I hear all the time is they're volunteers, you can't push them too hard. And I reject that completely. The argument that I always use is, most of our musicians are volunteers too. If they don't show up at rehearsal, they're not on stage on Sunday.
Yeah.
The difference is if they mess up the words, nobody gets hurt. If they miss a chord change, nobody dies. If we get it wrong, there are real world consequences to it. So I don't think that asking you to come to training 4 times a year is a really steep ask.
No.
So when I see somebody who is all in and they're like, man, I want to learn more. I want to be able to do this better. That's a guy whose heart is, I want to help people, not I want to look cool. So, they want to learn how to help more. So that's something that I look for a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think another thing is spiritual maturity. Like I said, in recent training, I was just telling my guys that I've laid hands on more people in prayer than any other type of laying of hands while serving on safety team. And it takes a certain level of spiritual maturity to do that. And also, if you're shadowing the pastor, you might be hearing stuff from other people. And 1, we want to make sure that you're not going to be a gossip about it. And 2, you need to be kind of spiritually in tune to kind of hear people's darknesses and kind of filter that out and continue on. So I think it's important for someone to be, I got baptized yesterday. Can I be on the safety team today?
Yeah, no, I I agree, and I think there's a lot of that too, just in kind of some of the situations that they can get in. If they're newly out of the world, we'll say, sometimes they get into a confrontation with somebody. It's a little harder for them to control their temper or control what's coming out of their mouth versus someone who is a little more spiritually mature and not necessarily reacting from a worldly perspective, but acting from a Christian driven by love perspective. They're not the one that, is letting the F-bomb slip out, or telling it, making it into a big contest of who can, whose will is more dominant.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've seen that from time to time. So the third thing for me would be a little related to what we talked about before, and that's somebody that wants to continue to grow, and not just in safety training. Yes, I want somebody who wants to continue to learn more skills, learn better skills, be better at it, be more proficient at it. That's great. I love that. But also as a man or woman, to continue to grow. I want them to read things. I'm a big one on, hey, what are you reading right now? Here, I got a book. Let me loan it to you. And just try to, who are you listening to? What podcast are you listening to? Are you listening to something that is building you up as a person or making you angry as a person in one party or another? Is it helping you want to go out and help people, or is it making you just look at different groups as evil or the enemy and that kind of thing? So somebody who is really committed to improving themselves as a person, not just skill-wise, but intellectually and spiritually. I think that growth mindset is important.
For sure.
So that's just a couple of the things that we tend to look for, and when we consult with other churches, that's what we tell them to look for. Maybe you have found other things, or maybe you think that we're way off base. If you do, there's a comment section below. Be sure to leave a comment, and we'll probably answer it. Other than that, like, subscribe, share, do all the things. We've got a lot more stuff coming up this year, especially, that we hope will add a little value to your team. So, hey, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe.